What is going on, guys? It is your boy Gary G Gaming here, and today I'm doing a video on how I played the Panther. Me personally, not anyone else's little guide or anything like that, just my personal playstyle with the Panther vehicles. Now this applies to the A, the D, the G, and the F even. The 2 is a bit different, and I'll get onto that in a later video, but for now, most of what you'll be seeing here today is the Panther A in the first game, and the second game I play, I do the Panther G. Now, yeah, again, I don't really copy anyone else's playstyle. It might be like exactly the same as another YouTuber's. I'm not too sure. I haven't looked into it, but this is my preferred playstyle with this vehicle. Now, when I say that, I like to make the distinction as, you know, I'm not saying to you how to play the Panther, simply how I play it. The reason is because I probably make a lot of mistakes. You know, I tend to be very aggressive with the Panther because when I first got the Panther, that's when I sort of started learning how to play realistic with the Panther D, because I was, you know, unsatisfied with the Tiger's performance at the time. It was actually my fault that I wasn't learning how to play it. So, you know, I'm pushing up hard on the right here because there tends to be tanks, and sure enough, there's a T-3485. Now he spots me, obviously, and proceeds to put one straight into the side of my engine and sets me alight. Now this is good because he's just donked his shot into the side. However, I should have killed him with the first shot, but, you know, I was dealing with a bit of lag here. So, you know, we'll cut out the repair timer because that gets a bit monotonous. But yeah, like I was saying before, this is my preferred playstyle with the Panther. I tend to be very aggressive because, you know, these are big tanks, but they're also quite agile. Although I was noticing when I was playing this, I was like, this isn't as agile as I remember it being. So I don't know, there must be something up with the speed, or maybe I'm just used to allied tanks now. But yeah, you know, I think I'm a decent Panther player. I mean, I have posted multi-kill Panther games on here before, so, you know, I just thought, you know, maybe since I've already done videos on the Panther series of tanks, that I could maybe show it off some more and just go into my reasoning about how I usually play these vehicles. So obviously I like to flank. This is like a fast medium tank, and its gun, yeah, that shot there, by the way, I don't know what I was doing. Like, I just sort of put my reticule on, and then the bounce happened, and I was like, fuck, well, you know. But yeah, I do end up putting a shot into the side of the PT-76. Now, while he's dealing with his fire and disabled, I thought I might be able to put a shot into this Russian AA, but no, it never happened. So, you know, put a second shot into the PT-76, and, yeah, kills him. So, you know, I move on and head up to the B point to see what I could do up here. Anyway, like I was saying, sorry, I keep on getting sidetracked. You know, it's just, in my philosophy of it, a medium tank should try to flank whenever possible, because that was the intended role of most medium tanks, and I wish to just, you know, exploit breakthroughs. The Panther isn't as tough as it used to be, in my opinion. I think with the introduction of British tanks, with their APDS, its armour is nowhere near as effective as it used to be, and I spot this PT-76 too late here, and I fire into him, and I hit him and crit his tank, but he sets me alight, and then it instantly ammo racks me like a second after I get set alight. So I was kind of salty about that, but, you know, that's just the game. So anyway, let's come back here on a second game. Now, this game was a lot better. However, I will keep in mind, so ask you to keep in mind, I had extremely bad bouts of lag during this game. Just, you know, the issue of Australian internet, and you will see that firsthand. Shots aren't crisp, like I'm having to tap the trigger multiple times just to get the shot to register. And the tank, I was having navigation issues. Like, see here, it just starts drifting and shit. That's not me putting it into the controller. That's actually the lag. You know, anyone who's played with lag will understand. Anyone who doesn't or hasn't played with lag, this is what it's like. So yeah, forgive me for this shitty gameplay at this part anyway, but I do end up getting a lot of kills this game. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fast forward through this whole entire shitty positioning, because I don't really know what I was thinking at the time, and I was like, oh, you know, it's a laggy game, and then I'm sitting here going, well, whatever happened to, like, neutral steering on the tank? I'm going, fucking Jesus, what's going on with the mobility? So yeah, but yeah, so keep in mind, the Panther, the armor is not as good as it used to be. Everyone and their dog knows where to shoot a Panther. Yeah, it's really not that hard. You just shoot it in the turret. So what advantages does the Panther have? Well, obviously, it's got this great gun. The gun has higher penetration and higher muzzle velocity than the German 88. The downside is sometimes I feel like this gun has less normalization against sloped armor than an 88mm, especially the long 88, or maybe the long 88 just has more penetration and it can just normalize itself better. I'm not too sure how that works, so but it's got a very deadly gun. I mean, it's a lot longer than the tank, and the tank is big, so it's obviously going to be very high velocity. Second point about the gun is also its APHE shells. It gets them right out of the bat. I carry 5 APCR, but I don't really need them. I mean, with my playstyle, I like to flank. Now, see the Sherman Jumbo here, he's blissfully unaware of my presence. Pop on into his engine, because I hate it when these guys start moving, and then I know they have weak side armor, so, you know, just pop around the side, wait for him to turn, or whatever, and then, you know, popped him. He's gone. Notice behind me that there was I believe that is an Achilles, but yeah, here's the lag. So, I was having input lag, but I knew, you know, he'd be there. So I just popped a shot over, and sure enough, it's connected, registered, and he's down. So, yeah. The tank also has a very good mobility, and, you know, its armor, while not as effective as it used to be, I mean, it is somewhat good, especially they can't just upper front plate you like they can with the T-34. You know, here I spot the M18, and I'm like, shit, what am I doing? Pop it straight into his turret, but before I get the shot off, obviously there was a bit of lag. Somehow it's, you know, registered at the same time. He's only popped my gun breach, and he's taken out. So, you know, that's happy days. Repair, obviously, I'm just going to skip through the repairs because, you know, they're long and boring, and no one wants to watch that shit. And then again, a ZSU, I can't remember what these things are called, like a ZIS 43 or ZSU 43 or something. I really don't remember. I haven't actually gotten this vehicle yet. I already gotten the ZSU 37 when it was introduced, so I just didn't really bother. And then I noticed there was a group of tanks down there, but then I also noticed our ticket counter. So I made the decision in my mind that, you know, the tanks behind me, they were going to be able to pin down and, you know, hold the enemy tanks on that corner. So I decided to go after one of the capture points instead. Now, I did notice the M6 over there, and I thought to myself, you know, better take a shot. I didn't notice that he'd already been taken out the second before, so I did, you know, look over. I was going to take a shot at him, and then he explodes, and I thought, oh, well, you know, better luck next time then. So, yeah. So I'll just drive forward, and I plan on going for the C point, and then I notice that someone's already going for the C point, and then I'm sitting here going, what the fuck's wrong with the tank? Why isn't it going over the rubble like it usually does? That was kind of pissing me off. And again, I have one of these little derp moments here. I'm sitting here going, oh, go for C, and then, you know, someone's already going for C, and I'm like, oh, you know, turn the thing back around, let's go for A. And again, I'm trying to neutral steer the tank, and it's not working. Like, I distinctly recall Panthers having neutral steering, so I'm not quite is the G model just slightly different, like, you know. So while I'm going for the A point, I was thinking that I'd go through the different variants of the Panther and why they're different to each other. Now, most of them sit around the 5.7 to 6.0 battle rating range, with the exception of the Panther 2, which sits at 7.0. So to start off with, you'll get the Panther D first. Now, this was the first production model of the Panther, so it's got a very slow turret traverse, and that puts it at a disadvantage in close quarters combat versus tanks like the T-34, 85, and, you know, the Shermans and stuff like that. But other than that, it's got pretty solid frontal armor, and, you know, most 4.7 tanks can't really penetrate you easily. Other 5.7s can, and 6.7s definitely can. So, you know, your armor's not as good as it used to be due to the British, like I said before, with their APDS ammunition and all that, but yeah. It's still got the same 75mm gun as all the other Panthers, decent mobility, obviously, it can go quite quickly, and yeah, it's just a solid all-round medium tank. When you get those flanks off, try to keep yourself at mid to long range, or keep the enemy, you know, not noticing you if you're at short range, because like I said, your turret traverse kind of puts you at a disadvantage versus other medium tanks. Panther A is a sort of flat up, like just a full-on upgrade over the Panther D. It has a much faster turret traverse, same gun, gets access to APCR ammunition, which isn't that useful, and it's got a much better engine. So it's just more mobile, more, you know, higher turret traverse, so it's far more effective in close quarters combat. The G model is a bit different because historically it had this chin on it to stop shells deflecting down into your hull when they struck the turret and missed. But it has a weaker engine, I believe, than the A. Still gets access to the APCR ammunition, and it has the same battle rating as the Panther A, so it's a very good backup. I come around this corner here and I notice that there's a Sherman Firefly. I noticed him too late and he stopped, and because they got a stabilizer, he can just smack me one. I instinctively aimed at the lower left just because I'm used to fighting Jumbo Sherman so much that I thought, oh, hang on, that's a Sherman Firefly. So I just popped him through the center. And yeah, I got to wait to repair. So yeah, that was a pretty good kill. At this point, I noticed that I was like, hang on, how many kills have I got? And I got 7 kills. I was like, fucking hell, this has been a good game. Despite the lag, it had been a really good game, so I was quite happy with myself. Anyway, yeah, so the Panther G, the Panther A and the Panther D, they're sort of the earlier model Panthers, and they're pretty distinct from each other. Like the Panther D and the Panther A, externally, the only way you can really tell the difference, other than like looking at road wheels and stuff like that, is that the Panther A has a different machine gun port to the Panther D, and that the Panther G has the chin on it, right? The Panther F, now that's a bit of a different tank altogether. They didn't really exist that much in real life. They were prototypes. But they had a thing called a small term, which is, you know, the smaller turret. Many people think that that's a great advantage and that it's kind of like, I thought it would be difficult to counter initially, but really it's not that great. Like, it's just a 120mm turret, you know, and it's a tiny turret, so if you get hit in the turret in this thing, you're probably going to fucking get one hit killed, so you know. But the Panther F brings something new to the table. Despite having the same battle rating, its gun actually reloads about a second faster because it's a different model gun. I can't remember what it's called, but yeah. So it gets a faster reload. The downside to me with the Panther F is that its turret traverse is absolutely abysmal. It's nearly as bad as the Panther D's. So, you know, that's something to keep in mind. And then finally, the sort of jewel of the Panther tanks is the Panther 2, which highly resembles its World of Tanks version. Now, the Panther 2 has an 88mm gun. It has a reverse speed that is actually decent. Like, all the Panthers except for the Panther 2 have like a 4km/h reverse speed, which really sucks. You've got to make sure you know what you're doing. You know, when you're going into combat, you can't really reverse out of situations. You know, you got to be able to make sure, if you're leaving combat, you've got to be able to go forward out of it. You know, into it or out of it, in my opinion. So yeah. But yeah, no, the Panther 2 is a much stronger vehicle, and I'd like to talk about that in a different video, because its playstyle is very much different to the other Panthers, in my opinion. Yeah. So, to me, the Panther is just, you know, it can fight at long range, at least much better than other allied tanks and stuff like that. But in terms of, you know, close quarters combat, you know, the other allied tanks have you beat. Unless you can outmaneuver them. Once you get on their flanks, you know, the disadvantages you have don't really matter. That's the point of outflanking your enemy. So yeah, I hope that's given you a bit of insight into how I drive the Panther personally. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Leave a like if you liked the video, dislike if you fucking hated it. Leave a comment down below telling me, I don't know, you know, any recommendations on next vehicles or ideas, or just telling me if I'm shit at the game. I really don't mind. It's your will. You can do what you want. Now, make sure to subscribe if you want to keep up with my videos and, you know, just other stuff like that. I hope to catch you guys next time.